Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. So doing another little video in topic in part of my questioning everything series. So maybe this one's like 3.5 or something like that. We'll just kind of make it a half of a video in terms in the process of it. So I actually wanted to do this before I refilm the video where I kind of go into some of these spiritual leaders in the community. And the one thing I do want to mention is that we really, I feel like in America, one way that people can start living a better life and cultivating a better society is by using better judgment. I don't even want to use the word discernment, but I will say, like, throughout this process of questioning everything, one presenter or video led me to another, which led me to another, which led me to another. So I have pretty much laid everything flat on the table. And I guess being in this state of wavering or observations, not really trying to have fixed opinions on everything, because we're all trying to navigate things out. And the one thing I do want to say, I don't live in an echo chamber. I have a lot of spiritual friends who do live in echo chambers. They live in these echo chambers that are the same as what your kind of like hardcore progressives would be. Like, those type of people don't accept any other viewpoint or any other person into their life or on their Facebook page. I've never lived my life like that, because I genuinely believe that if you want things to grow and progress, you have to get uncomfortable. You have to come outside of your comfort zone, and you also have to have disagreements in order for things to grow, evolve, and progress. And so we can't always grow when we just have a one frame mindset, because when you're just revolving yourself in these echo chambers, you don't really share these perspectives that plant seeds for other people who are genuinely lost or in a different boat. So what I want to talk about, it's not even a new thought, it's been around for a long time, I'm just doing a video now on it, is that everybody thinks they have the truth, and that you have to be really, really careful with YouTube opportunists, because escaping the matrix is, the new hip thing. We have a lot of people, whether it is intentional or not, they believe that they have the truth, and they're also selling programs on YouTube, or just, they're presenting themselves on YouTube to get monetization, and then they're selling these courses and programs to help you try to escape the matrix. And I'm not saying that any of these things are good or bad. There might be some glimpses of truth with what they are sharing or within their programming, but you have to understand that America has pigeonholed itself into desperation of making a lot of unwise decisions, and a lot of these unwise decisions leads people to desperation. I will say that coming from Ohio for a while, I saw people, it was about when I returned home from Germany, I all of a sudden, because people knew I was into like organic food and essential oils and all this stuff, and I had people just hitting me up left or right to get involved in these pyramid schemes. And then even some of my spiritual friends got on the whole Tony Robbins thing for a while and tried to sign me up for what do they call it? Multi-level marketing. I think that's the specific term for it. But it's all a pyramid scheme. And so a lot of people, whether, like I said, intentional or not, I don't know, they are trying to escape the matrix themselves by selling whatever. It might be the newest trend. It might be the next best fucking theory. You just have to be concerning. So where I'm going with this is, because I, sometimes have disagreements on Facebook, really not recently, because it's just not even worth my time anymore. But for example, atheists, they think they have the truth. They think science wins. God doesn't exist. Why would anybody believe in a myth or shit that you can't see with your physical, I didn't do that. with your little eyes. If I had it with both hands, I'll just do this with the little eyes. that's like a Mason symbol. So I'm like, oh crap, like no. So, you know, they want to have things that are done exactly, that are seen through just the lens of your eyes. They claim they have the truth. New Agers believe they have the truth because they're anti-religion. And they've awoken up spiritually, or have, you know, quote unquote, becoming more conscious and more enlightened. They think religious people oftentimes have a demon attached to them, but they often don't even look in the mirror themselves and realize that their shitty behavior toward other people is also demonic. Let's see, we have religious people think they have the truth. I mean, literally everybody thinks they have the truth right now. And one of the newer things, okay, flat earthers think they have the truth. What else? Well, I guess holistic natural health people have the truth. That one is true, because you can't fool nature. Nothing from nature gives you any sort of cancer. Like, you don't eat apples and bananas and eat lettuce and kale and then all of a sudden get cancer from that. You know, cancer and toxicity in the body is led to disease, which that oftentimes comes from man-made chemicals and processes. So in that one is pretty hardcore, the truth. But where I'm going with this, when it comes to a conversation about God or what really exists upstairs, everybody thinks they have the truth. And through this questioning process, I found a presenter, maybe a couple of them. I think Tony, I think it might be his first name. I don't remember. Actually, if I had interviews with this person, I think it would go really, really well. I think we're in alignment on a lot of things because, you know, he's British. He has a good sense of humor. He is very anti-New Ageism. But we just obviously don't really agree with God. And one thing that he has promoted is that God is a demon, and don't rely on God, because in dire situations, God, I'm going to move here because I don't want people hearing me, that God, you can't rely on God in horrible situations. Like, why would any loving person allow anybody to get raped or allow anybody to get murdered, and things like that? And this is where, because this younger generation doesn't have a strong foundation through, say, like Christianity and the Bible, that I don't even have a really strong foundation in understanding the Bible, but what I do understand is that God doesn't always promise you a stress-free life, that, you know, trials and tribulations and all these things will happen or may occur. I'm not saying that people deserve some of these things. What I've learned through listening through SRA victim stories throughout the last few months, I mean, it is hard to think about, like, why would anybody get born into that type of situation, because that contradicts a lot of what spirituality, New Ageism, whatever Eastern philosophy has taught us. So I don't really want to get on the topic of that video, but, you know, this is the common trend, and you have a lot of people who are following this and buying those courses, and that specific person keeps telling everybody, use a lot of discernment. You'll hear the same words from everybody, so I could tell you to use a lot of discernment as well, but we're all using discernment. And I've had people, more like hardcore religious people, use you know, their discernment against me, and I'm just like, I don't know how they're afraid of a fucking plant or an herb, but they're not afraid of toxic chemicals, you know, getting pumped into their body. So everybody's trying to escape the matrix right now. I personally don't think I would be buying any form of supplements from like an Alex Jones type. I don't think I would recommend that anymore. The closer you live to nature, when you clean up your health, you clean up your mental health, you get stable. A lot of times you don't need these things. You don't need supplements and stuff like that. However, if you're been on the struggle bus for a long time and have developed cancer, then maybe some of these technological tools like these vibration things that can, help heal chronic pain, and certain types of creams and stuff like that could and can help, or supplements can help. Kind of even seeing the movement, this truth movement of people interviewing SRA victims, and they're starting to do advertisement because everybody wants to make money for their time. I mean, we live in a money-based world, so you can't blame people for wanting to have some level of income coming in, especially when they're giving a lot of their time and advice on a lot of these videos. But some people may genuinely believe that they know the truth. I mean, they genuinely believe that God is just God, is another demiurge, a demigod, whatever that word is, and that is demonic. But that is coming, I believe, like when you say stuff like that, hey, I'm 100% open-minded that anything that I've ever believed in about my own spiritual beliefs in God could be wrong. But I think that if you do not understand the etheric realm and the physical realm, and really understand things like fallen angels and the various perspectives of how this planet has been evolved, especially through biblical perspectives, I think you can steer people in the wrong path, because it is a planet of polarity. So you cannot have all this evil running on the planet. As much as there's awful stories on planet Earth, there's also the opposite polarity of miracles that happen all the time and every day. Why does it happen to some people and why does it not to other people? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But, I would be very wary of people who say don't rely on God, or that God himself is a demon, because you cannot have evil running this planet without the opposite. I mean, if you want to use modern terms, you could look at Christ and Satan as like a twin flame. They are opposite ends of the spectrum. If you start throwing an astrological perspective into all this, which probably should just be another video in itself, we had the incarnation of Christ and the age of Aquarius, which is pretty much ruled by Saturn. I think in the Vedic astrological realm, we are entering the golden age for the materialists, that the Antichrist is their god. Throughout these super dark times, we had the light and Christ coming in, and now we have the other one approaching. So anyways, I don't know if this is an egotistical thing. I don't know if it's just people being super fixed on their belief systems, or super fixed because of their current life experiences. But, even SRA victims have talked about how their belief in Jesus really helped them through their experiences, and to kind of fight off the darker realm. So yeah, I think everybody feels like they have the truth. Once again, I'll just use those buzzwords, use discernment, but we have to understand that YouTube is a land of opportunism for a lot of people, and as I've commented on some people's videos, it's like where we are at right now is an all-time level high of self-absorption and narcissism. And through my life experiences, I don't see atheists showing up and helping out the world. I don't see a bunch of yoga instructors fucking showing up and cleaning up trash and making sandwiches for the homeless people. Right now, the only people that I see doing chronic humanitarian work are the people in the churches who are sewing and knitting blankets for either the homeless people, like for example, the Lutheran World Relief, LWR, yes, Lutheran churches make quilts and blankets, and that gets sent to whatever disaster happens nationwide, but also internationally, so domestic and international. So So you have people doing that. I see these old ladies making baby diaper kits. So they're making diapers and little, getting baby clothes, whether that's from donations, whether they're new or some of them could be used. They're giving those to low-income mothers who are struggling. One woman I know shows up every Monday. Her and a bunch of people make up to 800 sandwiches for the homeless people. What else? They are, around the holidays, they're getting members of the church are putting together, you would go to a store and then purchase a bunch of items that you can give to the low-income seniors in this area for Thanksgiving. So you're pretty much providing a Thanksgiving meal to a low-income senior. So if you understand my messaging on this, right now the hardest thing is finding a church. I have come to a point of realization that I will never find, especially in the city, as nuts as it's gotten and as progressive as people have gotten, which generally leans on that atheistic side, I will never find a pastor or a spiritual teacher or anything like that will be 100% on the same page as myself. A couple years ago, during COVID, when I was trying to find a spiritual group, there was a group called I Am, and they're like, we're pretty patriotic as well. But then they started talking about Madame Blavatsky, and then I just kind of got weirded out by that. I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't think I really want to be a part of something that talks about Madame Blavatsky, because everybody has a fucking different opinion on that woman as well. But for the most part, it seems like a little more on the Luciferic end of just constant physical manifestation. So anyways, that's just where I'm going with a lot of this. So, as these YouTube people sell a bunch of things and they talk about how they're scuba diving in the South Pacific and, living this really fun life, that sometimes inspires people a little bit on the jealous side, or like, hey, I want to have that too. And then they want to start producing more money on that. And once again, I'm not anti-materialism. I just think that everything has gone a little bit overboard, and because of managing a bunch of yoga instructors and all these Reiki people who are just always about, it's Leo season, it's Lionsgate, get this manifestation going. Like, they're not really they're helping people on an individual level, sure, although a lot of those people don't really get healed, but they're not helping out what really needs to happen right now. These services that are for it's being that's the whole point of a lot of Christianity and Christ, is that selflessness, thinking of others and not of yourself. And I'm sorry, but the only people that I see stepping up to the plate are the old baby boomers who are Christian, because young tech people here don't give a flying fuck about really anybody else besides themselves. They might donate to Planned Parenthood to help out the single mother, which is a whole other video I want to do in itself, which is like atheists, although they don't believe in God, they were still born and raised with like Christian principles, which is thinking of others. So yeah, I don't know, that's just kind of where I want to go with that. So I think, like a commenter mentioned a couple videos ago, being in that state of observation is a really great place to be. As I have gone to a Lutheran church, I met one guy